printing facility outside Oakwood, Georgia, 1989. A man in a pressed suit walks into the most secure promotional supply chain in America with a pair of metallic stickers in his pocket. He is Jerome Jacobson, a former police officer, the director of security. He locks the stickers in his breast pocket. He goes home and waits. When he uses those stickers in a men's restroom at Hartsfield Airport, slicing open a tamper-proof corporate envelope, swapping $1 million game piece for a worthless one, resealing it with his own identical sticker, will the auditor standing 20 feet away on the other side of the bathroom door notice anything at all? Nothing happens. No alarm. No phone call. No FBI. In his car in the airport parking structure, Jerome Jacobson allows himself to smile, because if it worked once, it will work again and again for 12 years. He will steal every major prize in the McDonald's Monopoly game in the United States. He will redirect $24 million through a Mafia distribution network.
8 people who work for the company that runs McDonald's games like Monopoly.
Without triggering a single internal corporate alarm. He will investigate his own crimes on behalf of the company paying him to stop them. He will clear his own name in writing on corporate letterhead. To understand what Jerome Jacobson did to McDonald's, go back to South Florida before he ever walked into that printing plant. Hollywood, Florida, the late 1970s. Jerome Jacobson craved order above everything else. He joined the Florida police force in his late 20s. He wore the badge. He enforced the rules. Then he was medically discharged. A neurological condition affecting both wrists ended his career before it began. He lost the badge. He lost the gun. He lost the only identity he had ever built. In the late 1980s, Simon Marketing, the exclusive promotional agency contracted by McDonald's to run their consumer promotions, hired Jacobson as director of security. He built the security system himself. He selected the tamper-proof seals that shattered if anyone tried to remove them. He mandated floor workers wear shoes with no pockets and no laces. No single employee was ever left alone with a winning piece. He did not break into a vault. He did not bribe an executive. An FBI special agent quoted after the trial, "He was the fox guarding the henhouse, but he was a very smart fox. He had written the manual that explained to the farmers exactly how to catch a fox, so he already knew every trap in the field." Jerome Jacobson had absolute unmonitored control over a system printing millions of dollars in untraceable game pieces every year. He was the man hired to stop fraud. He had authority over the entire supply chain. He had other plans. To steal the pieces, he didn't need to defeat the system. He just needed one location where no camera and no auditor could follow him. Outwardly, Jerome Jacobson was the strictest security director Simon Marketing had ever employed. He made auditors from Arthur Andersen sign multiple compliance layers before they touched anything. He inspected seals under magnification. But inside the transit process, he was doing something no procedure manual had anticipated. The winning pieces traveled in a locked briefcase on commercial flights. The independent auditor, almost always a woman, flew with him to ensure the briefcase never left his sight. She verified the seal when they boarded. She verified it when they landed. What she could not do was follow him into the men's restroom on a layover. Jacobson had identified this window, the single point in the entire chain of custody where he was the only person present. Within his first year, he sourced exact duplicates of the restricted tamper-proof seals from a supplier in Taiwan, ordered under the justification of stress testing seal integrity. Simon Marketing approved and paid for the order. He entered a stall, locked the door, cut the original seal with an X-Acto blade, extracted the winning piece, replaced it with a worthless free small fries piece, resealed with his own sticker. Under 4 minutes, start to finish. In the time it took to wash his hands at an airport terminal sink, the director of security had quietly removed $1 million winning ticket from a foolproof corporate supply chain. The auditor was waiting outside the door. McDonald's had no idea. A piece of cardboard is just cardboard until someone cashes it. He needed proxies. By 1989, Jacobson had his first piece, $25,000. The rules prohibited Simon Marketing employees and their families from claiming any prize. McDonald's checked names against the company employee list, so he went to his stepbrother. Different state, different surname. He gave a $10,000 piece to an acquaintance in Atlanta, $200,000 to a personal friend nearby. The terms were always explained quietly, across a kitchen table, never with witnesses. You take the ticket, he told them. You mail it to McDonald's in Chicago. You pass their check. They're looking at your name against an employee list, that's all. You go on television if they ask. You hold the giant check and you smile.
Oh, that's good. Thanks a million. That's good. And then sign it. That'd be great.
Was $1 million instant prize winner, and it was like, wow, is this for real?
Then you wire the percentage back to me in cash. McDonald's paid. The winners appeared on television. Heartwarming commercials aired during prime time. A grandfather from Georgia had just won $1 million, except he hadn't. Every winner had been hand-selected by the man who controlled which pieces entered the supply chain. By 1993, a former police officer was manufacturing millionaires in American suburbs and extracting a cut of every prize McDonald's awarded. McDonald's was generating brand goodwill from the tiers of winners Jacobson had personally appointed. His trusted circle was finite. He was running out of people with different last names. To reach the $1 million pieces at scale, he needed organized crime. Before the Mafia enters, it is worth pausing on what Jacobson had built, because it is the structural opposite of every criminal operation in American history. Walter White in Breaking Bad had cancer, no savings, a family that depended on him. He sourced chemicals, built labs, established violent distribution networks, laundered his own money, while hiding from law enforcement that actively hunted him. Born of desperation, built against total resistance, Jacobson did the precise inverse. He didn't build a supply chain. McDonald's built one for him and paid him 6 figures to manage it. He didn't launder the money. McDonald's laundered it for him. When a proxy winner cashed a ticket, McDonald's issued a legitimate corporate check with IRS 1099 documentation. By the time the kickback reached Jacobson, it had been processed through the compliance department of a $40 billion corporation. He didn't avoid the police. He was the police. He knew exactly what checks McDonald's ran on winners because he had designed them. He knew what the FBI looked for because he had been trained by the same institution. Walter White hid from the DEA in a converted warehouse in New Mexico. Jacobson hid in airport bathrooms in Georgia and Illinois for 12 years using stickers his employer had paid for. For the better part of a decade, a single man had engineered a situation where a $40 billion corporation was operating, entirely without its knowledge, as his personal automated money laundering machine. To reach the $1 million prizes at scale, he needed someone who already had a national network. He found him in 1995. Jacobson was introduced through mutual contacts to a man named Gennaro Colombo, a high-ranking associate of the Colombo crime family, with networks across the eastern United States. Underground gambling, strip clubs, sports betting, money movement. What Jacobson saw was not a criminal. He saw a logistics operator who had already solved his problem. Colombo had people in every state, clean records, ordinary surnames, no banking alerts. The deal, Jacobson supplied the pieces. Colombo deployed the proxy winners, 50% each, in cash. Colombo took the first $1 million piece for himself and appeared on national television, holding an oversized McDonald's check, telling a smiling anchor he had found the winning piece on his hash brown during a family holiday. Nobody at McDonald's identified him. The network expanded fast. To guarantee loyalty, Colombo required each proxy winner to pay a $50,000 cash deposit before receiving their piece. They mortgaged their houses to raise the deposit. Then they went on television and cried. At McDonald's headquarters in Chicago, senior executives were watching footage of ordinary Americans, single mothers, retired grandfathers, bursting into tears as they held their $1 million checks. The same week, in a parked car in a Georgia suburb, Jacobson was counting cash kickbacks from those exact same people while their tears played on a small TV in the restaurant window behind him.
I found the insert, little tear-off tab, and I got cold, very cold.
But when you control destiny long enough, you start to believe you are untouchable. And when you believe you are untouchable, you stop being careful. By 2000, the Jacobson operation had diverted virtually every top-tier prize in the U.S. McDonald's monopoly campaign for over a decade. When Colombo died in a car accident in 1998, Jacobson didn't pause. He expanded to new brokers, a psychic reader in a Florida strip mall, a Mormon real estate developer in Jacksonville, a strip club operator across the South. But his psychology had shifted. He was no longer purely extracting money. He was exerting control. In 1995, he mailed a $1 million piece anonymously to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis. No kickback, no cut. He wanted to see if he could force a $40 billion corporation to break its own rules. McDonald's rules were explicit. Pieces could not be transferred or donated. If they denied the prize, a children's cancer hospital would go to the press. If they paid, they violated their own terms on national television. McDonald's paid on camera. Jacobson watched it on television. Then, the geography started to unravel. The distribution of winners showed an anomalous cluster around Jacksonville and certain zip codes with documented Colombo connections. McDonald's noticed. They asked their director of security to investigate. Jacobson submitted a written report. The cluster was a statistical artifact of how printing presses cut and distributed game piece sheets. A coincidence. Nothing more. The Chicago executives filed the report and closed the internal review. By 2001, a 60-year-old former police officer had spent 12 years investigating his own crimes, clearing his own name, and filing his own fraud as a statistical coincidence on corporate letterhead. He had not triggered a single alarm. But somewhere in that network, someone was about to make a phone call. Spring 2000. A phone rings in the FBI field office in Jacksonville, Florida. An anonymous caller says the most recent $1 million McDonald's Monopoly winner is a fraud, part of a large structured network controlled by a single figure known only as Uncle Jerry. Under 3 minutes, no name. The file is opened. The operation is named. Final answer. Special Agent Richard Dent is assigned the case. He pulls banking records of every major winner from the previous 10 years. Maps family trees. Cross-references property records on a whiteboard in a secured conference room. The mathematics are immediate. The probability of winning the $1 million prize, 1 in 250 million. The probability of any two grand prize winners sharing a financial connection, negligible to the point of impossibility. Dent finds that one winner sold a house to another winner's brother-in-law. A second winner is married to the nephew of a man with documented Colombo associations. A third made a post-prize cash transfer to a corporation registered in Georgia. Every winner, across 14 states and a decade, is connected to every other winner by no more than 2 financial transactions. Every chain, traced to its origin, points to a single corporate address in Georgia. Simon Marketing, the director of security. In early 2001, the FBI briefs McDonald's senior executives. Their director of security has been stealing the grand prize pieces for at minimum a decade. The entire promotional budget has been funding a Mafia fraud network. The executives want to cancel the campaign immediately. The FBI asks them to do the hardest possible thing. Keep running the game. Do not touch Jacobson. Not yet. In spring 2001, the FBI asked a $40 billion corporation to intentionally launch a compromised promotional campaign, knowing millions would be diverted again in order to bait a trap for their own head of security. McDonald's agreed. The next winner of the $1 million prize was about to walk into a very different kind of television interview. When the 2001 campaign launched, everything appeared normal. Jacobson arrived at the printing plant. He oversaw the chain of custody. He flew to Illinois. He visited the men's restroom at the airport. He handed the $1 million piece to a man named Michael Hoover in Rhode Island. When Hoover called McDonald's to claim his prize, the call was routed directly to the FBI. McDonald's sent a production crew to film Hoover for a commercial. The crew was not from McDonald's. Federal agents drove a production van to Hoover's house. Cameras, lighting rigs, boom microphones, production lanyards. They set up in his living room and asked him to sit in his armchair and explain exactly how he had found the winning piece.
So I stopped at the McQuaid supermarket, and it had instant prize winners on it. Or it had the quick pick, whatever you call them. I don't know what they're called.
He had no idea the cameraman had a federal badge in his jacket pocket. Special Agent Richard Dent, speaking after the trial. He sat in his own living room and told us this beautiful, detailed story with a big smile on his face. We already had his phone calls. We already knew every word of the deal he'd made with the distributors. He was building his own perjury case while we filmed it in high definition. The wiretaps finished the job. The FBI listened as Hoover called his distributor to confirm their story. They traced each call upward through the network until the chain reached its origin. A voice on a recorded federal telephone intercept. Jerome Jacobson, Uncle Jerry, the man who had spent 12 years designing systems to catch fraudsters, on tape, running the largest fraud in the history of his own industry. In the summer of 2001, the FBI was funding a multi-million-dollar consumer promotion and operating a fake film crew to record organized crime proxies in order to catch a former cop who had spent 12 years using his own security credentials as a personal robbery tool. Jacobson built a system to pass every FBI check. The FBI built a system to pass every check Jacobson knew to look for. The trap was closed. 24 hours later, the world changed. August 22, 2001, simultaneous dawn raids across the eastern United States. Jerome Jacobson is arrested at his home in Georgia. Immaculate clothing, no resistance, no raised voice. He looks at the badges and says nothing. Inside, the duplicate seals from Taiwan, falsified transit logs, cash transfer records across 14 states, 21 people indicted. Jacobson on mail fraud, wire fraud, conspiracy, the Colombo distributors on organized crime statutes, the psychic, the Mormon developer, the strip club operator, the proxy winners on fraud and perjury. The United States Attorney General, John Ashcroft, schedules a press conference. The press conference is scheduled for 9 o'clock in the morning, September 11th, 2001. At 8:46, the first plane strikes the North Tower. By 9 o'clock, every television camera in the United States is pointed at Lower Manhattan. The McMillions press conference is canceled. The story is pulled from every wire service. The biggest corporate fraud in American retail history vanishes from the national conversation in 40 minutes. The trials take place in a country that has largely forgotten the case exists. Faced with wiretap recordings, filmed confessions, and the testimony of 20 co-defendants, the network collapses. Jacobson pleads guilty. 37 months in federal prison, $12.5 million in restitution. Simon Marketing is fired by McDonald's the same week. The company goes bankrupt, destroying hundreds of innocent jobs. Jacobson is released in 2005. He has never given a press interview. He has never explained why a man who understood crime, fraud, and the FBI's methods precisely chose to spend 12 years dismantling the system he had been paid to build. At McDonald's headquarters in Chicago, executives calculated $24 million in diverted prizes, a collapsed promotional partner, 21 federal proceedings, while watching coverage of a prosecution that had been completely erased from the national conversation by a catastrophe of a different scale entirely.
We're very pleased with the verdict. I think this shows that there's no easy way to make money but to work hard. And I think it shows that fraud is not a game, and fraud is just thievery.
The man who had redirected $24 million from a $40 billion corporation without writing a single line of code, without carrying a weapon, and without ever raising his voice was sentenced to 37 months. He had spent 12 years designing the most secure promotional supply chain in American corporate history. He spent the same 12 years defeating it, alone, in airport bathrooms, using stickers. He had a six-figure salary. He had the complete trust of a global corporation. He chose instead to spend 12 years cutting open envelopes with an X-Acto knife and handing pieces of cardboard to the American Mafia. And because of the specific date on which the US government chose to announce his arrest, almost nobody noticed when his empire finally fell.